Today I am taking on macrame. This is the second video in the series of my first attempt where I'm taking on a project, art, craft, hobby, whatever, that I've never done before to show everybody it's okay to step out of your comfort zone and to show what it's really like and what's really involved learning a new skill. Why did I pick macrame? Well, I've seen it a lot at art and craft shows I visit because I do participate in quite a few, and I was actually at one and I heard somebody come by and it's like, that looks easy, it's just a bunch of knots. Well, I have learned that things that look easy aren't quite as simple as they appear to be, so that's why I'm going to take this one on. I am going to make a little small Christmas tree because it is December. I figure let's be festive if we're going to use macrame. So I've got my supplies. I got some pretty standard 3-inch macrame cord. I don't know if this is good, bad. Just what I happened to get on an Amazon Prime Day deal. Pair of scissors to cut my string. Measuring. This is a free little fabric thing I got from some work event. And you're supposed to have a loop or something at the top of your macrame, which is where you start. Mine, I think she had a tree in the video, or I've seen loops and metal and different ones or dowel rods. So for this, I made a star. I just cut this out on my laser. I did an 1.5 inches because I really wasn't sure what size, and it's a 1/2 inch, or sorry, 1/4 inch plywood. So we'll see if this is too big, too small, what do I need to do different with my star for future, but that's part of learning and experimenting, is seeing what does and doesn't work. I am following along with a YouTube tutorial I found. I will share it in the show notes as I do this. So this will be my first attempt, and I'm even opening the package for the first time. It's time to get started. I have all my string cut, and I forgot that this one needed beads, so I have 3 beads. I didn't have quite the right size, and the holes are a little small, so I kind of went a little engineer on my beads and made them bigger with a drill. Just on the screen, I have my computer with the tutorial pulled up so I can follow along how she does it. I did notice a lot of these don't have any sound or just music and no words. So it definitely makes it a little bit more entertaining trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. So I would start with an easy tutorial. For this one, she starts at the 2 longest strings. Okay, we have 2 long strings. And she has a thing called a macrame board where she pins things down. I don't own that, so we're going to have to be improvising. So she sticks it through the hole. She sticks it through like this and pulls. String 1. And the other thing I noticed is that I wish they would use different color strings because sometimes it's kind of hard to know what they're doing. Stick it through the hole. Pull. Now the lady's already well ahead of me because obviously I'm a much slower macrame person than she is. So I'm going to have to back up. So now we have our first knots, and it appears that this is the back and the front according to her tutorial. And again, the link will be there so you guys can actually see what she's doing, and I'll try to add some screenshots in too. I don't have a macrame board because I've obviously never macrameed. It looks like it's a piece of wood that they put like a mat you could stick pins in, which looks super handy. But since we don't have that, we're going to improvise. That works. So here's where I mean the different color strings. Here's my 4 strings. Okay. It looks like that helps. So we have this string goes around these 2 over this one. Whoop, slow down, lady. Okay, so it looks like it goes through this one, over these one, under these ones, under this one. So over, under, over, and you pull. That appears to be our first knot. Now we're going to take this guy, go over, under, over, under, and do the same thing. I can officially say now I have tied a macrame knot. I would say probably before taking on something like this, a normal person would probably practice tying a few knots just so you know what you're kind of doing. But yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose, showing what happens when you try to take something on you don't know what you're actually doing. So next we take the middle two, pull it over, it looks like we take this one around and pull it through. Next, it looks like it's time to add our next strings. You take one of these strings, and this is your next to longest. You kind of, I discovered, go in descending order. So you do the same thing you did to start. Pull it through like this and slide it up. Then we're going to do the same on this side. And by the way, if you want to find somebody who actually knows how to do this, go to the tutorial. Don't come to me, because, well, slide this up. Okay, so we got all of our strings now all laid out. Did I miss a knot on one side? Yep, yes I did. So we're going to pause this for a second, because I guess it looks like I was supposed to. Okay, we're gonna have to go backwards. This is real life, people. So we over here had done 2 of those knots, so I think over here I need to do 2 of those knots. So I do this. I'm gonna pause this while I back up, take these out, and we'll try again. This is the fun of trying something new for the first time. So we have caught back up. We've added these 2 cords, which are our 100 centimeter or 39.3 inch cords on either side. And I've laid all my strings out. And as the further along you go, the more and more strings that this gets added to, and the harder and harder it gets, or the more entertaining. Okay, now we look like we do another set of those doubled knot things. Over, under, over. Okay, that does not look right. Over, under, over, under, that looks better. I will say you got to be prepared when you're doing this to take about 8,000 knots in and out before you figure it out. They make it look so simple. Over, under, over, under, again. I think you got 2 of these now. So it looks like what's up next after you do 2 of these is that we're going to go and do more of that one knot where you kind of come over and under and you come down. And I think it looks like she uses the same string. I think. We're guessing here. And does it going up this way. So all 3. Then it looks like you do the same on the other side. And I will say she has some focus issues and made me feel a little bit better about my early focus issues. And I still continue battle focus. So it's kind of nice when you discover you're not the only one that has the same problem. It's a little bit of common humanity. So it looks like it kind of got a tree. She puts pins in these spots to help hold everything down, which I'm going to say probably is pretty handy. It looks like I just do the same knots again on each side. Okay. I think I'm doing something definitely wrong, but we're gonna go with it. I think maybe going backwards because my tree isn't exactly coming out straight. This is kind of an entertaining tree. You may have to get to the end and go back, tear it out, and try again. Like this is our proof that is more than just knots. They're knots, but they're strategic knots. It's kind of like trying to figure out how to tie a bow. Sometimes it's kind of entertaining because you're not quite sure what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, now it's time to add the next 2 cords. Figured it was coming up soon. I'm a little lost in my video, so you have to be patient with me. We're going to be pausing here and trying to figure out where exactly I am. Okay, now is where we add the beads. Okay. Because unlike thread or something that's easy, this is a little bit more complicated. So maybe try shoving. My dog just came in to see what we're doing and then lost interest because there's nothing food exciting in here. That worked. Okay. I'm going to call that an A for effort, creativity, little mask painter's tape. We got the bead on. I'm sure other people out here are beaders or do more of this kind of stuff, have tips, techniques, and they're much better. I was not, so we just went with plan B. That worked. Okay, so it looks like we take this string now, do the same over under looking knot. I still think I'm doing something wrong here, but maybe I'm supposed to go over, come around, and go under. That doesn't look right either. Like her hands go over what she's doing, so it's hard to really see what this knot's supposed to be. This is where like taking a class may be handy. Nope, that's not right either. I'll just pull this back through like this. Okay, we're just going to go with whatever this knot is. I don't think it's the right knot, but I'm just going to go with it. We've established I can't tie knots. So it looks like she goes this way next. Looks like she just does it, like pulls it up, flips it through. Like this. This is not going well. I'm going to have to tear it all out and try again. I think I'm going to have to go backwards in time and tear this all out and then try to find a tutorial that shows me how to actually tie knots first. Then we're going to come back and try again. So far, we're going to call it a bit of a fail or first attempt in learning. So I'm going to come back later in another day and try again, and we will eventually get this video finished to show you what it's supposed to look like, because this is kind of a hot mess. So the first lesson learned is maybe start with learning the basics of how to tie knots before you try to make a Christmas tree. Jumping the gun did not go well in this case. So we're going to go back, try to find something better that shows me what this knot is supposed to look like, then come back and try one more time.
Macrame has definitely been interesting. I ended up having to try multiple times to create my Christmas tree, and there's a lot of time spent on Google. Like the whole theme song, hi ho, it's off to Google we go, can be repeated a lot. I will say that each attempt I progressively got a lot better. In this image, we can see where I just get past the green bean. That first attempt when that didn't go so hot. Like I was so lost. So I kind of figured out a little better what the knots were called and sort of. But I still didn't completely have a grip on the hitch knot or understand it completely. So in attempt 2, you can see it's It's a little better at this point, but not great. But when I get to like version 4 here, I kind of halfway figured it out. I'm like, wow, like this has definitely got a lot better. Here we are on the next pictures. So we have attempts 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to note that attempt 3, I didn't follow the video. I just kind of winged it and I was trying to practice the knots as I remembered them. A 2, my tree turned into a hot mess. And I had recorded attempt 2 as a video, but I hadn't caught my focus issues. And honestly, I was bored with watching myself get frustrated and screwed up, so I figured nobody else really wants to see that either. Attempt 3 was my, okay, I really got to practice to figure out what am I doing wrong. And you can see I start to get these hitch knots looking a little bit more like a knot should look. And by attempt 4, I'm like, hey, this is actually kind of sort of looking like a Christmas tree. Now it's a little tight at the top. I haven't quite got the angles and the spacing, but it's definitely a vast improvement from where I started. And now for the final judgment. We can say with all honesty after attempt 1 and after attempt 2 that this was a full out fail or a first attempt in learning. By 3, I start to kind of sort of get it. By attempt 4, I'm like, hey, this actually doesn't look too bad and looks like a Christmas tree. Like, I could put this in my own house and not be completely embarrassed. That is a lot of progress. And for timing purposes, the first video I did after work on Monday night, and then attempt 2 was also Monday night. Attempt 3 was me screwing around a little bit on Tuesday night after I got home from running errands after work. And then attempt 4 was done on Wednesday night after work. I have a normal day job, so usually I don't start till 5, 6 p.m. in any of these. So that it's not a huge amount of time between attempt 1 and attempt 4. It's within 48 hours. So as you can see, if you just keep trying, learning, figuring it out, you can make strides to improve. Does it look exactly like the inspiration piece? No. Do I have a lot of work to do to figure out how to get consistent knots and spacing, etc.? Yeah. But have I made enough progress where now it's not so laughable and I feel like I can move forward? Yeah. So by attempt 4, I could say that's a nailed it. I'm pretty happy with my progression, and this is a lesson for everybody that don't give up, keep trying, push through the initial frustration. I mean, we don't even want to say how much of that first video I edited out where I was just standing staring blankly at the screen. Yeah, there would have been a lot of gaps in there. And video 2 would have had even about as many gaps. It was pretty ugly and there was laughing saying yeah, it wasn't pretty either. So just keep trying, keep learning, and you've got this. Go create something, try something new, and show what you're made of. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe, and I will see you for the next first attempt. I believe I'm going to take on resin next, which is a little bit scarier than macrame. So stay tuned.